A lot of them felt like Brawl was intentionally made to not be a competitive game, which is true.
This is going to be a direct shout out to Sakurai, but gaming.
Okay, I have a true hypothesis. You know how the times have changed where movies and games now make prequels? Make prequels to okay, this is actually pretty good. Hear me out. You know how in movies and in games back in the day it was only sequels. Prequels were unheard of. But then eventually prequels started to come out. And what if Brawl was like the very first Smash game? It was the prequel, the origin story. And then like let's write that down. Let's write let me show you guys. Let me try to get my ideas out in a note in a paint thing. So this is Melee. So we'll put it here because my message, right? Melee. And then instead of going forward, these new games that are coming out, they're not going forward. They're going backwards because Nintendo was ahead of its game. Nintendo was so ahead of the times, they were making prequels already. You know what I mean? And so Melee is like the last chapter. You know what I'm getting at, guys? Guys, press 1 if you know what I'm getting at. So basically, they started making prequels. Brawl was the very first prequel. Its origins. Also, Melee is 64 part 2, so 64 goes here. 64 Melee is the sequel to 64. And then Brawl is the very first one, and then Ultimate, I think. No one's ever talked about this. I might be the first person ever in the world who has this brain and has come up with this marvelous discovery. Ladies and gentlemen, we have found the true timeline of the Smash Bros. Universe. 4 is a spin-off. 4 is a spin-off. It was DLC for... 4 was a spin-off. They did it because there was just unreleased material and they wanted to milk money off real quick. So Brawl and then Ultimate. So what happens here in Ultimate, there's so many fighters. And what happens is, you know, like it started off with Brawl and then the universe got a hold of so many fighters and they put them in one game. But then what happened? There was just so much chaos that they killed each other off and there was an explosion, meteor fell, like in Final Fantasy VII. And then you kind of go into this like Final Fantasy VI era, you know, when at the end of Final Fantasy VI in the World of Ruin, you're looking for all the characters. So yeah, you're like Setzer and Cells, I think. And that's why there's so few characters in 64. But by the time Melee came around, they had found more characters that were already available in Ultimate. You know what I mean, guys? And so, yeah, the timeline just hasn't, the story hasn't advanced. We're still at Melee. They've only recovered 26 of the characters of the roster. And in Ultimate, they just killed each other off and there was an explosion. I don't know. Wario made a waft and they fell out. They fell all over the world, and they're still being found to this day. But Nintendo has still not released the sequel to Melee. I literally came up with the explanation to the Smash Bros. Timeline. That's why people can't L cancel. They can't do any advanced techniques. You can't dash dance. You can't do anything in these games. Like, there's no advanced techniques in these games because they weren't as refined fighters yet. You know what I mean? They're still working their way up to Melee. By the time 64 came out, they could already L cancel or R cancel, I think, in 64. And they could do it really fast because like they're good. They were in their prime at 64, the fighters that were left. But in Melee, I'm pretty sure in 64 when you R cancel or Z cancel, I forget what it is, you lose 100% of your lag. But in Melee, you only lose 50% because there's something that exists, ladies and gentlemen, and that little something is called time. And time takes a toll on everyone. And these fighters are getting old, and they're just not as fast as they were in their prime. And so that is the explanation of why there is more lag in Melee than in 64. Guys, I literally came up with this on the spot. We're gonna save this. We're gonna save this history lesson, and we're gonna put this on YouTube. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. History lesson of Smash Timeline. This is what happened. This is literally what happened. TL didn't watch. Too Long didn't watch. Brawl is a prequel to Ultimate. Ultimate is the sequel to Brawl. Smash 4 doesn't exist. This is a what if. This is a what if. You know what I mean? And yeah. And then 64 is Melee is only the sequel to 64, but Melee doesn't have a sequel. It only has prequels. There you go. There you go. And this has to be real because I came up with this in the middle of the Smash documentary. So there could be no better time to come up with this explanation, with this discovery. It wouldn't have been real if I hadn't done it in the middle of the Smash documentary. Therefore, it's real.
I have fun playing Melee because...
Also, you know why Ultimate is the prequel? Doesn't this happen, guys? This literally happens in Ultimate. Let's open this up. Dude, this literally happens in Ultimate.
Get away.
You see, everyone is here. It's like the Avengers story. I understand. Guys, we're gonna watch it for the lore.
Never. We'll win this. I know we will.
And so, of course, they all got together, you know, Sakurai made Ultimate. Everyone is here because at that point in the timeline, Brawl had already passed. The fighters were strong. The army was strong, but they weren't strong enough. And so once they were strong enough in Ultimate, they decided to take on whatever the bad guy's name is. I don't remember his name. And so this fight starts. It literally happens. Ultimate is the second game. And then this all happens. You see, everyone starts dying. Everyone starts getting eliminated or sent to somewhere else. We don't know. I don't remember what happened in the story. You see? But they get taken out. And so, of course, I think Kirby escapes. He's the only one that escapes. Yeah, he's the only one that escapes. People died, or I don't know what dying means in this. They lost their 4 stocks, right? And so Kirby's the only one that's alive. He's the only one, right? And then, yeah, that's where Ultimate like ended, I guess. That's where Ultimate ended, or maybe not. Maybe that's like it's like we're in epilogue right now. So after this, so here, you know when you're only using Kirby,
Amber could probably...
when you're only using Kirby at the beginning, is the point in time when he finds like how many people are in the roster? I don't remember. 10 characters, 12 characters. But what I'm trying to get at is eventually when this is happening and he's running around,
All right,
recovering characters.
here we go.
He recovers the characters from Smash 64, of course. So these are the characters he recruits. And this is why I'm telling you guys, this is why I'm saying Ultimate 64 is the sequel to Ultimate. Because slowly but surely, more characters are being recovered. And then while the World of Light is happening, while the World of Light playthrough is happening, eventually they get into the Melee timeline. They get into the Melee timeline, and then it's here. But they're further in, you know what I mean? They're like halfway through. And this is where the story's ended right now. We haven't gotten a sequel to Melee. But what about the at the end of Ultimate when all the characters are unlocked? No, this is an alternate timeline. Brawl is the prequel to Ultimate because they didn't have that many characters at the time. The army wasn't big enough yet. Guys, I understood this timeline. I understood it. That's my genius. I don't know what to say. You see, and Nintendo even acknowledged this when they made this mode. You remember this mode? You remember this mode, guys? I'm telling you. This is why they made this mode, this event that came out for a little while. I forgot how long it came out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to introduce you to history lesson in the Smash Bros. Timeline. But I digress. Let's get back into the Smash documentary. It wouldn't have been possible to come up with this timeline if not in the middle of watching the Smash documentary. Shout out to Mutes King. Through his episode, The Robot Remastered, we solved this great problem.